Chapter 143. Using the Sea Enlightenment Art 2. Its neck gradually became slender, and a row of sharp spikes appeared on it. For flippers extended from its body, and it looked more and more like a plesiosaur. The feeling of cruelty it gave off grew increasingly intense as it changed. Before he saw the plesiosaur, Xu Qing couldn't make microscopic changes. However, now that he had seen it, he felt that the other party's appearance would increase. The dragon whale's speed and increase his agility and attack power in hunting. At the same time, in the dragon whale's surroundings, as the sea transformation art circulated, swordfish form and pseudo-tooth birds also appeared. There was even a small giant figure that slowly formed amidst the gathering of water droplets. At the next instant, as the surface of the sea rumbled, the dragon whale, that had its appearance changed by Xu Qing, broke through the surface of the sea and flew out. It let out a roar in the air and swordfishes followed it, forming rainbows under the sunlight. Senior Sister Ding and Zhao Zhongn's eyes widened. After sensing the spirit energy fluctuations that belonged to the 7th peak sea transformation art, they were stunned. Not all disciples at the 8th level of the sea transformation art could possess extreme control to form a dragon whale. Not all disciples who formed the dragon whale could grasp extreme control over it and change its form. All of this caused Senior Sister Ding and Zhao Zhongng, who were already shocked, to be even more shaken, regardless of whether it was the plesiosaur or the swordfishes. These weren't the spell patterns recorded in the sea transformation art, but Xu Qing's comprehension from this trip to the sea. The sea was like a Tao teacher. At the same time, it was profound and supernatural. When one was beside it, some insightful people could silently achieve enlightenment. Time slowly passed just like that. On the way, Zhao Zhongng felt even more bitter and dejected. He had completely realized that he couldn't afford to offend this Xu Qing. The probability of Xu Qing reaching the foundation building realm in the future was extremely high. Once he reached the foundation building realm, he would have to respectfully greet him. He didn't even have the thought of asking his grandfather for help. It wasn't like he hadn't encountered similar situations in the past. However, although the other party ended up in a miserable state, he also ended up in an equally miserable state. There were a few times when he thought that his grandfather would beat him to death. He could only pray in his heart that the journey would end early and Xu Qing would leave. As if his prayers were answered, the sea was calm for the next few days and the three of them didn't encounter any danger. The magic boats gradually got closer and closer to the Western Reef Archipelago, until the outline of the archipelago could be seen in the distance. As for Senior Sister Ding's enthusiasm, it continued to rise on the way. Ever since she boarded the ship, the materials she had given in order to obtain knowledge were worth more than 300 spirit stones. This allowed Xu Qing to see Senior Sister Ding's thirst for knowledge. He felt that the other party was a good person. After all, if his hunt at sea wasn't smooth, his gains might not even be that much. However, when he thought about how he had spent a large amount of cultivation time to guide the other party and clear her doubts about herbs, and how he had the responsibility to protect her along the way, Xu Qing weighed the pros and cons in his heart and felt that the transaction was very reasonable. In the last half a day, Xu Qing still patiently answered Senior Sister Ding's questions. However, he didn't accept any more materials from her. He admired Senior Sister Ding's eagerness to learn. When Zhao Zhongng saw the scene, he sighed in despair in his heart. He felt that if a gigolo started to not take money, it was because the latter had developed feelings. 1. He looked at the distant Western Reef Archipelago and wished they could reach there immediately and end the voyage so that Xu Qing could leave. Just like that, dusk gradually passed. As the three of them sailed, no matter how reluctant Senior Sister Ding was, the Western Reef Archipelago became clearer and clearer in their eyes. When they arrived at the destination of Senior Sister Ding's trip, Zhao Zhongng was extremely excited. He looked expectantly at Senior Sister Ding. "Junior brother Xu, are you really not coming with us? I am here to visit an elder. It's my aunt. Her cultivation is profound and she likes to guide the younger generation. If you come, you will definitely gain a lot." Before Senior Sister Ding got off the boat, she tried to persuade Xu Qing. Zhao Zhongn's heart instantly skipped a beat. His heart was in his throat as he stared fixedly at Xu Qing, afraid that Xu Qing would agree. "In not going, I still have other things to deal with. Senior Sister Ding, take care." A polite smile appeared on Xu Qing's face. After senior sister Ding slowly got off the magic boat, while turning around to look at Xu Qing again and again, Xu Qing's magic boat let out a muffled sound and slowly retreated. It then changed directions and sailed toward the distance. On the shore of the island behind him, senior sister Ding's doused robe and hair flutter in the wind. She lifted her beautiful face and her bright eyes looked at Xu Qing, who was on the magic boat. She suddenly spoke loudly. "Junior brother Xu, take care. After this voyage ends and we return to the sect, I'll continue to seek guidance from you." Zhao Jianeng's heart skipped a beat again and his face fell. Xu Qing nodded slightly and waved his hand. He then controlled the magic boat and gradually sailed into the sea. As he left the island and the magic boat returned to peace, Xu Qing's expression also became sharp amidst the calmness. Standing on the magic boat, he slowly seemed to have transformed into a sharp sword that was about to be unsheathed. His gaze turned cold as he stared at the forbidden sea behind the distant archipelago. That direction was his destination, the location of the sea lizard island. At his current speed, he would be able to reach it in 2 days at most. As a public resource point that produced sea lizard skin, there must be killings and fights there. A cold glint flashed in Xu Qing's eyes. After many days at sea, he was even more familiar with the forbidden sea. At the same time, he was also prepared to make a move. "I have to be more vigilant," Xu Qing mumbled and waved his right hand. Immediately, the magic boat erupted with speed again and whistled forward on the surface of the sea. According to the nautical chart, it was getting closer and closer to the sea lizard island. On the way, he began to organize his dagger, put on his boxing gloves, sharpened the black iron stick, and checked his poison. 1 day, 2 days. On the 3rd day, dusk filled the sky, and the afterglow of dusk shone through the gaps in the dark clouds onto the sea. The wind on the sea was clearly much more violent as an island appeared before Xu Qing. The entire island was pitch black, as though it was enveloped in dark clouds, as though there were ferocious beasts hidden there. Rot and humidity lingered around it, revealing desolation and death. Hundreds of boats were floating in the surroundings. Each of them had their own differences, but they weren't the Seventh Peak's magic boats. There were also some human and beast corpses that had died for an unknown period of time on the beach, giving off a cold feeling. Looking further up, the island was surrounded by black-colored mountain jungle and mountains. The murderous aura in the air carried a sense of oppression. Just like the black clouds in the dusk at this moment, it pressed down deeply and filled the surroundings. As Xu Qing's magic boat got closer, many gazes that were hiding in the mountains and jungle instantly opened and coldly locked onto Xu Qing. Xu Qing could clearly sense the hostility in the gazes. He slowly narrowed his eyes. His expression was calm, but his body emitted an aura as sharp as a blade. It was as though he had transformed into a fierce wolf, causing those gazes to stop and retract one after another. Xu Qing was expressionless. With a sway of his body, he stepped onto the beach and kept the magic boat. He flicked the dust off his body and walked toward the jungle. When he passed by the corpses that were everywhere, he would glance at them.